Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of VMTV Vaults with myself, Kyle Diamond, and my guest for this episode, Mr. Modestas Bukauskas. Modestas is going to be fighting on the upcoming UFC London card. That is on the 4th of September. He will be fighting Khalil Rountree in his 4th UFC fight. It's the last fight on his current deal. He currently has one win and back-to-back losses against two very good opponents, and has been given another very good name in the division, so we hope the best for him. Most of you will know Modestas as a former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion. He was also on an episode of Take Me Out. You can do with that information what you will. And so we just talked about this upcoming fight, his lessons learned from his last two defeats, and also a little bit about his Cockney accent. I'll let the man tell you all about it himself, Mr. Modestas Bukauskas, ladies and gentlemen. So, when looking at your record earlier, I noticed that apart from these last two fights, the last time that you suffered a defeat was back-to-back losses, and then went on a run that saw you become Cage Warriors champion and UFC and get to the UFC. So, how much does that help when you're in a situation like this where you've got back-to-back losses at the moment, but you've been through it before?
Yeah, so obviously there's a familiarity that comes with it, and it's almost a bit nostalgic in a way. Like I see a lot of similarities from and seeing these similarities just gives me even more confidence to just go on another massive run. Do you know what I mean? I think obviously times are different and stuff like that, but you know, there was a step up in competition earlier on in my career, which then caused me to suffer those defeats. You could say the same thing. I had to, you know, face a step up in competition, had to change certain things. And now I feel like I'm going to go out and, you know, like I say, put on the best show of my life. So I had to suffer adversity in order to make those changes, in order to come out on top and do those certain things. So it's almost just like a repeat. We're going around in circles here. Do you know what I mean? Going on a roller coaster ride that's going back to the starting position and we're going around again. So, but yeah, like I say, I'm just much more well equipped mentally, physically, spiritually, in order to handle the situation and have full confidence that I can come back from it and yeah, continue to put on devastating performances. I know what I'm capable of. It's just a case of fine tuning in order to be able to let those skills out the best. And definitely now I feel I'm ready to do that.
What in particular did you learn from the last two fights? Because obviously, first of all, two very tough opponents, and this interview is going to come out once it's been made official. So another tough opponent coming up with Khalil Rountree, so that they're not afraid to give you big names in the division. But what did you learn from those two fights? Because obviously the most recent one was a split decision, so I'm assuming there was a lot that you could take from that.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely feel I've said this many times. If you know, had I won that fight, I wouldn't have made the changes, and it would have made it worse for me in my career, you know, further on down the line. So I'm actually glad that I lost, because I had to make some, you know, I guess you could say some pretty big changes. From the Jimmy Crute fight, it's almost like, you know, like I say, I definitely feel I feel like I have the skill set to beat anyone in the top 15 and stuff like that. It's just a case of bringing it out there, doing the correct strategy and stuff like that. You know, me and Jimmy had a talk afterwards, and you know, he said he was practicing particular things like over and over again, which, you know, obviously you can have a game plan going into a fight. It may change, but most people tend to refer back to their tendencies. They sort of go back to what their second nature, what they like to do. And he capitalized on that, and he was able to land the punch that finished the fight. So that was one thing that I realized, well, do you know what? Strategy, it needs to be a big part of my game here if I'm going to, you know, go against the top level. Because now the skill set, the discrepancies are small. It's not like, you know, you go earlier on in your career and your grappling may be way better than another guy's grappling. Your striking may be way better, and there's massive holes. Now there's like not many. Every fighter is very good. There's not that many massive holes that everyone has. Everyone's on like a similar sort of wavelength. Everyone has their strengths, but now you've got to sort of add the strategy in there. And I feel like you know, even looking after the second fight, I was definitely showed more of my skill set. I feel like it was definitely an improvement since the Jimmy Crute fight. I was able to do more of the things that I wanted to do, but still there was little holes and errors and bits of the strategy that weren't highlighted through my training. So now I've, you know, really like doubled down on all of those things, and you know, inevitably it led me to actually change my training camp. So now I train out of Team Titan. And like I say, BST, they're such an amazing camp. They've got really good fighters, really good coaches. They've done so much for me, as a fighter. They've helped me evolve to become, the Cage Warriors champion, and they helped my defense with the grappling to a whole nother level. So I will never forget all the help that they've given me leading my career. But at certain points in career, you gotta be selfish and realize, what do I need to bring out the best of myself? And definitely moving to Titan, I feel that I've definitely found the ways now to be able to bring the best out of myself and eradicate even further the errors that I was making previously, even from my last fight. So I'm just making moves, man. I think if you're not moving forward, you're standing still, and I can't be like that. I can't stand still. It's like, I may scratch a win. There's no more about scratching wins or this or that. I'm going out here to make a statement. I said it at the beginning when I got into the UFC. I feel like I'm ready and to fight against the top guys. That's why I took the Jimmy Crute fight. So skill set wise, I feel like I definitely feel I still have it now, and now my skill sets are even more better. So it's a massive roller coaster. I'm very thankful to having learned those lessons. I've got a great team around me. Obviously, my dad's been a massive staple in my training the whole time and stuff like that. So now I feel I'll be able to show out my skill set even more so. So there was a hell of a lot learned, and that's what makes the MMA journey so crazy. But I'm ready to go out and all the things that I said earlier. I still believe it. Even when people may have been doubting, why does he think he's that good and this and that? It's like, trust me, you ain't seen nothing yet. But all I've got to do is go out and prove it. So that's my job right now.
One of the things you said there was about how fighters, when a fight starts getting to the later stage and stuff, a lot of times they revert back to type. And I can't think of another fighter that I've watched where the thing that I always think of with you is elbows, specifically. That one position, which it seemed like there was a run of fights where that would happen in the fight, and it would always be like, it almost feels like a cliche to be like, this opponent doesn't want to be in this position with you, this is dangerous, and then it would happen. It was like, what's happening? Was that a strange thing?
I thought it was pretty strange, to be honest with you, because I definitely didn't see the second time that happened. I didn't. After the first time that happened, I definitely didn't see it happening in my UFC debut. But we had sort of practiced those shots just in case, that opportunity would arise. We didn't really think that Mihalidis would go for a takedown, but obviously, I guess maybe he's trying to win the round, and he thought he could try and get me down at the end. But in MMA, especially now, if you leave your head low and you leave it in that spot, it's going to leave you. I mean, look, you've seen what Johnny Walker done to Span as well. You leave your head in that position, trying to get someone down. This ain't wrestling. You got to be able to prepare yourself. So I didn't see it coming, but every single time, my dad's always the one shouting the instructions. He's like, elbows. Like, I wasn't even really thinking. I was thinking, okay, defend the takedown and get into the second round. But all I hear is like in like a loud, like strong Lithuanian accent, elbows. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna let him fly now. And the thing is because there was only like 10 seconds left, I thought, all right, I've got to get in as many as I can. I just thought, okay, I'll make him a bit weary when he comes into the second round, put him off his game, and he ended up finishing the fight. Yeah, so it was a bit weird that it happened 2 consecutive times, but in a way, it was like, well, I could, I've been practicing these shots in that particular area, so I'm well aware if it would have got into that position, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing as well about having that confidence in yourself, where you've been in this position before, where you've lost back-to-back fights, but also you've got that confidence in your ability. It must be nice as well to get that back off the UFC, because they've given you your last 3 opponents, counting Khalil Rountree coming up. These are top names in the division. Like, since your first fight, you get that win. I know that you have is it a 4-fight contract as well?
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, this has become a thing, I feel like, even more over the last 2 years, with guys signing from Cage Warriors and being given big names straight off the bat. So that's got to feel good, right? To get that appreciation off the UFC, to know that I'm still getting big names, tough fights. So clearly they're seeing something. Yeah,
I definitely agree with you with that one. I think they do see that I have star potential. It's just a case of I got to get the job done. And they gave me the opponents in order to try and get myself up there and give me that trajectory. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone that way. But the fact that they even given me, like I say, Khalil, who's a very, very well respected fighter. I mean, I was watching him in the Ultimate Fighter back in the day when I think I just turned pro, maybe. So the fact that they're giving me a fight like that it's amazing, because it's another stylistic matchup as well, in terms of him being a heavy striker and me being a heavy striker and stuff like that. So they definitely wanted it from an entertainment aspect. I do feel like my back is up against the wall, like you said, last fight on my contract and everything, but that gives me even more energy and emphasis to go out there and put on the best show of my life. Like now it's like, Dennis Sutherland, one of my very good friends and coaches, he always says, when your back is up against the wall, that's when you perform at your best. And it's definitely been shown true in Cage Warriors. They gave me a load of fights where realistically it's like, okay, if he pulls through and he wins, great. But if he loses, then that's it. We can sort of get rid of him almost. So it's like, it's almost the same position here, isn't it? So it's like, now I've got to come out on top. It's a big name. Like all the biggest names have beaten him and then gone on to do big things, like like Johnny Walker, and even like my last opponent as well. So like he's had a bit of a mixed bag in the UFC, but yeah, being a big name, been on the Joe Rogan's podcast and stuff like that. Like to me, he was an idol and still is. So it's nice even for your idols to become your rivals, to stand in front against the cage against someone that you admire. That's another amazing thing. So I do feel, 100% I agree with you that the UFC are looking to see something here. And this is my opportunity. When you're given an opportunity, you've got to step up and you've got to go out and deliver. So that's it. That's what I'm going to do when it comes to September.
Last thing I wanted to say was, you mentioned about star power, and before we started recording, I mentioned how I hadn't heard you speak before this interview, before I did some research, so I didn't expect the accent at all. Fingers crossed, because at the time of recording this interview, we don't know whether the card will be happening in London, but fingers crossed that's where it goes ahead. Yeah. I want to know how many people in that arena will be just as shocked as I was when you win the fight, you get on the mic, and they're all like, I thought this guy was born in Lithuania. What a moment. What a moment that'll be for everyone there.
Oh yeah, just complete silence. They're like completely astounded. It's like, what is going on? Like, his name's not English. What's going on over here? But at the same time, obviously, I know when they announce my name, it will be born in Klaipėda, Lithuania. So it will be fighting out of London, England, by way of Klaipėda, Lithuania. So still, the fact that fighting out of London, England, that will be a big thing. Knowing that I think it's good to fight in your hometown to feel like I'm one of their own, sort of thing. And I've been brought up through, I moved to England when I was 3 years old. So I've definitely grew up in the system. I've felt the love and the respect from so many people from this country. It's been absolutely amazing. I definitely 100% feel the camaraderie and stuff like that. And I feel the patriotism towards my home country, Lithuania, but also to be able to represent Britain as well. I think it's just a dual thing. It gives me more appreciation to be able to reach out to more people, to get my name out there. So as weird as it's going to be for maybe some people to hear my name, and then next thing you know, I'll talk on the mic. He's got like the strongest Cockney accent you'd ever believe. I think it was probably the same when I went on Take Me Out. They probably thought, oh, my name's Modestas, and the next thing, wait, hold on a minute, what? Do you know what I mean? So
I forgot all about that. I remember that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of a tendency towards a spotlight, but yeah, I've been working very hard. I've been correcting all the errors, and I really hope it happens in London, because I've not fought in front of a crowd since signing with the UFC, and I really want to be able to feel that hometown energy, to be able to get out there, and it's another one of the fights that people are going to be looking at. Have a full, have an arena filled with people. Obviously there'll be a lot of excitement because they haven't had an event in London for a while now because of the pandemic. So I mean, as of right now, it looks like we'll go ahead, but obviously we'll see what happens. But either way, I'm there to go and do one job and one job only, and that is to finish Khalil Rountree.
Absolutely, mate. Well, fingers crossed for London, because I really hope that goes out. That'd be such a good fight, such a good moment. I appreciate your time as always, mate, and hopefully we can catch back up soon with a win under your belt.
Yes, definitely, mate. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time, man.
No
Really
worries,
nice
man.
chatting to you.
Cheers. Have a good
Nice
day,
one,
mate.
Thank
Nice
you.
one.
All right, yeah, you too.
Thank you for checking out this episode of VMTV Vaults with myself and Modestas Bukauskas. As I mentioned at the start, Modestas is going to be fighting on the UFC London card. That goes down on the 4th of September. Tons of great matchups all over the card, obviously, including Modestas versus Khalil Rountree Jr., a fight that we can't wait for. Hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode of VMTV Vaults, and we will catch you on the next one.